Hi Merfolk fans, I'm Joe. Thanks for joining me. I'm here with a replay against Madcap Experiment Platinum Empyrean combo. It's a pretty interesting match. I think that Madcap Experiment, well, I know that Madcap Experiment is still being tested in Modern. It really hasn't found, I think, a solid shell as of yet. But the interaction with Platinum Empyrean, as we'll see in the match, is pretty insane. And I actually hadn't heard anything about it before I saw it in this match. Looking at the opening hands, we see the opponent has a really weird hand. I mean, 3 fetch lands, 2 basics, so 5 lands, Lightning Helix and Lightning Bolt. They kept, I'm assuming they did so because of the, obviously because of the 2 removal spells. Can buy them some time to dig for their combo or dig for some of the other pieces in the deck. On my side, I'm happy to be able to show you guys this match because for me, this is a keep every time. This is a delicious hand in my opinion. Getting AEther Vial out on turn 1, we've got our lands, we've got a Mutavault. Spreading Seas is going to be able to mess with their mana. As we see, they've got more than enough mana. But in many matchups, double Spreading Seas can win the game by itself, and these 2 Spreading Seas are eventually going to convert themselves into more gas that we can play out with AEther Vial and our lands. So easy keep on my side, even though it might not look like it, and apparently easy keep for the opponent. So opens with a Wooded Foothills and passes to me. I hit a creature right away, happy to see that, and I'll run out Island into AEther Vial. Opponent fetches a basic mountain. Interesting. Draws another land. Sure, they're not very happy to see that. Plays out a Windswept Heath and passes to me. So I have no idea what we're playing against at this point. Usually Naya colors indicate some kind of aggro deck, but we haven't seen any creatures yet, so still in the dark. I'm going to go with Mutavault and Spreading Seas here on the mountain. Opponent says okay, and we draw another Mutavault. Okay, so starting to see the first hints of a plan here. Opponent's going to crack his 2 fetch lands, go grab a couple of lands. Looks like they're going pretty hard with the basics here. Maybe they don't even play any shock lands. So we see the Lightning Bolt and Lightning Helix from the beginning, but then Nahiri usually played to grab some kind of gigantic creature. So at this point, still having no idea what we're playing against, expecting some kind of removal with red and white mana up, and with AEther Vial on the table, pretty easy choice for me to keep playing it slow, hit that white mana, and withdrew into another Harbinger, play another Mutavault as a potential attacker, and pass the turn back to the opponent. So, Sigarda, Host of Herons. I guess this is sort of a toolbox kind of approach to Nahiri. I guess if the coast is clear, you get Emrakul. If for some reason you need to prevent opponents from making you sacrifice things, you can get Sigarda. Maybe Sigarda's just a good body to have. Maybe he thinks he's always going to safely get to 5 mana. Kind of a strange assumption to make in Modern. But anyhow, let's go ahead. Opponent does have, he accidentally showed me Sigarda, but then he's ultimately going to go with Nahiri here. He +2s and passes. Pretty strange. I mean, I guess he really wants these lands to opt in favor of not pitching anything to Nahiri there. I guess he has the white mana for Sigarda, but he doesn't have... I'm sorry, I guess he has the green mana for Sigarda, but he doesn't have the double white. So I guess maybe if he plays a Temple Garden, he can crack this and go get the Temple Garden, but that, that still doesn't give him the green and white that he needs to cast Sigarda. I don't know. A little bit strange. Didn't pitch anything. Go back to our turn, but on the end step, thought about activating AEther Vial. Do activate AEther Vial, get Harbinger out there. With the opponent tapped out, we can just kill Nahiri right away, either by attacking with Harbinger and 2 Mutavaults for 6, or by activating AEther Vial, bringing in the Island Walk Lord that I think we just drew, and swinging with the Mutavaults at Nahiri and 3 with the Harbinger to the opponent. Opponent goes down to 14. Nahiri bites the dust. Opponent draws another land. And I think he might have just realized that he can't cast Sigarda this turn. So, anyhow, going to take AEther Vial up to 3, I think, here, since I have the Reejerey in hand. Alright, I do so, and drew into another Island Walk Lord. A ton of power here. I'm going to activate Aether Vial. Opponent decides in response to cast Lightning Helix, killing my Island Walk Lord, gaining 3 life. Vial's going to resolve. We see playing spot removal like this indicates pretty strongly that he doesn't have access to any kind of board wipes. If he did, he'd probably wait to use his spot removal. Possibly not, since I'm presenting a lot of pressure here. At any rate, he could have waited for Aether Vial to resolve because my creatures would have only been 3/3s at that point anyway, or I should say my lords would have only been 3/3s, and he could always respond if I played another lord. But Lightning Helix makes me feel a little bit like I can continue to push creatures out onto the table. So now with 2 lords, I can swing for 12. 4 times 3. Opponent's going all the way down to 5 and pass back to him. So he draws another land. I don't think he can survive, even though he's got a big creature like Sigarda and a Lightning Bolt in hand. So it just scoops it up. We didn't really get to see anything that game. Let's go ahead quickly into game 2, see how that one went. Okay, so opening hands. Having no idea what's going on other than that he's playing Nahiri and Naya. I brought in some negates. I think I took out a bunch of my creature interaction like bounce spells because Emrakul, Echoing Truth and Vapor Snag don't work very well against Emrakul. So I think I might have just brought in 3 negates, brought out 2 Vapor Snags and Echoing Truth. Maybe I brought out something else to get in the 2 dispels. Can't remember right now. But my opening hand is an easy keep, and looks like the opponent's got to keep 2, even though he's got Emrakul in his hand. I guess he really didn't like Aether Vial last game, so he must have brought in Ancient Grudge. We see he's got a Lightning Bolt and some Mana Acceleration with Birds of Paradise. But Emrakul's kind of a dead card. Spreading Seas, even though he's got a bird on the table, I'm happy to see Spreading Seas to try to mess with his mana, draw cards, turn Island Walk on. So opponent continuing to draw suboptimal cards. I see another gigantic creature, Avacyn. Angel of Hope is an 8/8 flying vigilant indestructible that gives other permanents he controls indestructible. So Ancient Grudge potentially online at this point. What I'm a little bit afraid of at this moment is actually whether the opponent has sided in choke. That's something we need to be thinking about in the early part of the game against green decks in games 2 and 3. But, also afraid that next turn with 4 mana, he might just go straight into Nahiri. Having not seen anything of his play, of his deck, I should say, in the last game, I'm just going to choose to play a land and pass with Negate up. Looking at the opponent's hand, he drew a forest, and he doesn't really have any choices to play here. During the match, I thought he was potentially being clever and holding back on playing the Planeswalker since I'm obviously sort of telegraphing a counterspell here. But as it was, he actually didn't have anything to play. So continue drawing islands, but again, doing my best to try to play around choke if possible at this point in the game. No threats currently from the opponent. I'm going to take this opportunity to tap my 2 non-islands, play a Spreading Seas on the mountain. Opponent's going to get a mountain in response. A little bit strange. I'll attach that to the mountain, draw an Island Walk Lord, and pass the turn to the opponent. Okay, so there's the Nahiri, and during the match it seemed really clever to me that he waited until I tapped my mana low before playing out his Planeswalker. But we can see in the replay that it was actually just top-decked this turn. Alright, so he's got a +2, ditch Emrakul, that'll shuffle back into the library, and gets a draw card, draws another forest. On top, draw another non-island blue source, but at this point, with the opponent having an island and having not seen choke yet, not super afraid anymore, but, you know, always going to keep it in the back of our minds. So again, Nahiri is the only thing we've really seen so far of the deck. So I think the plan here is just to try to tick her down a little bit. Probably going to go with an Island Walk Lord and attack with with Mutavault, getting Nahiri down to 3. Opponent untaps, and finally we're going to see some action. Draws a Madcap Experiment and casts Madcap Experiment. With me tapped out, nothing I can do about it. Let's have a look at this card because it's super new. Opponent is going to reveal cards from the top of his library until he reveals an artifact card. So that kind of tips us off. He's probably only playing one artifact card in his deck. Put that card onto the battlefield and the rest on the bottom of your library in a random order. Madcap Experiment deals damage to you equal to the number of cards revealed this way. So at this point I'm thinking, alright, maybe, you know, he's at 18. If he only plays 1 or 2 artifacts, maybe he's going to, you know, go through 20 cards before he finds an artifact. So let's see how it went. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So the 11th card is a gigantic artifact creature. So here I am thinking, okay, well, you're going from 18 down to 7. I can play an Island Walk Lord with Island Walk online. I'm going to swing 4. 3 plus 4 is 7, so game's pretty much done, right? I think the opponent messed up and put those cards back on the top of his library, so gets them off the top again. So I tell him he should be at 7 life, but then the opponent tells me that Platinum Empyrean says that he takes no damage. There's a super cool interaction between Madcap Experiment, because as spells resolve, they actually do all their pieces in order. So the first thing happens first. He reveals the cards. He finds an artifact. The second thing happens. He puts that card onto the battlefield, and then all the other cards go to the bottom. So this card is on the battlefield before the card has even finished resolving. Then the last thing happens. Madcap Experiment deals damage to you equal to the number of cards revealed this way. But Platinum Empyrean is already on the battlefield, and it says your life total can't change. So Madcap Experiment deals 0 damage to the opponent, and for 4 mana, he gets an 8/8 that says his life total can't change. Pretty cool. Pretty hard to kill. Dismember doesn't deal with him. So I was pretty impressed with that. I do have Island Walk online, so I'm going to be able to keep attacking Nahiri. Looks like the opponent didn't pitch anything again to Nahiri. Really, really weird. He should have pitched Ancient Grudge since it has flashback anyway. I'm getting the impression in general that this guy might be pretty new to Modern. Maybe he plays Standard and Madcap Experiment really caught his interest, and people told him, oh, well, you know, Platinum Empyrean is in Modern, you should try that out, because doing a really poor job with Nahiri so far, and just generally keeping really weird hands. So at this point, I can play out a whole bunch of creatures. I can play out 2 Island Walk Lords and attack Nahiri down to 1. It seems like a pretty good option to me. Instead, I guess I only played out, let's see, what was the rationale for only playing out 1 Island Walk Lord that turn? Swinging Mutavault is going to be for 4. Potentially playing around removal. I think that was the idea. He has birds up, and if he had Bolt, he could have bolted one of my lords in response, and then I would be left swinging for only 3. Yeah, I don't know. Either way, he could bolt the lord. So just kind of in a weird spot right now because the opponent has this Platinum Empyrean on the board, and I can't change his life total. So I'm going to attack Nahiri from 5 down to 1. I don't think it makes a big difference, really, whether I play out that lord at this point in the game. Opponent draws a Plains, and we are going to see a Bolt here. Sorry, he had the... did he just draw the Bolt? I don't remember seeing it. But anyhow, bolting Lord of Atlantis and swinging with Platinum Empyrean. So, having sided out all of my Vapor Snags and Echoing Truth, I didn't really have any way to interact with Platinum Empyrean except Harbinger of the Tides. He did tap his Platinum Empyrean, so I could bounce him now if I wanted to, but he's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 mana available. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And if he has another land, he can just simply recast Platinum Empyrean. And then I just have to wait for him to, wait for me to draw another Harbinger. So, if I bounce him this turn with Harbinger, I could then play an Island Walk Lord and attack Nahiri down to 0 and get rid of her. If the opponent doesn't draw a land, then potentially he won't be able to recast Platinum Empyrean, and then next turn I could play out the other Island Walk Lord and potentially, let's see, wouldn't have attacked him this turn for any damage, so would I have 18 next turn? If I had Harbinger, that would be a 4, actually, no, I'm playing a Lord this turn, so Harbinger would be 5, and then I'd have 4, that's 13, plus 5 would be exactly lethal. So I don't think I took the right line here. I think my impression was that he can just recast Platinum Empyrean. It's possible that I just misread my Spreading Seas as a land, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But he actually only had access to 7 mana. So I could have taken this window opportunity, bounced the Empyrean, played out a Lord, kill Nahiri, and then next turn swing for exact lethal. But I didn't think I had enough power, and I thought he had enough lands just to replay his Platinum Empyrean. So just play out the Lords here, and then swing and get Nahiri off the board. I can leave up mana for Negate. And we're at kind of a stalemate here, because if he attacks with the Platinum Empyrean, I can now block with 2 of my 4/4s and just kill that guy. So the opponent looks like he drew and played a mountain, and is just passing the turn back to me. So I draw a land, rearrange my lands, play my non-island, get my lords all set up, and pass back to the opponent. Opponent draws another Avacyn, but without access to triple white, he can't get her onto the board yet. Master of Waves, pretty good, I guess. If we can bounce this Platinum Empyrean, we're going to have a super overwhelming army to attack. So at this point, all I'm hoping to draw really is a Merrow Reejerey, because you can play the Reejerey and then cast a Harbinger and bounce his tap and bounce his Platinum Empyrean. See the opponent's drawing pretty terribly, hits Emrakul, but I'm not drawing much better. I hit an island, pass back to the opponent. Draws another Platinum Empyrean. So he does have access to his 8 mana now. So here's a second Platinum Empyrean, and me citing out my Echoing Truth forces me to draw another Harbinger of the Tides. So there's the Reejerey. 1 turn too late. A little bit unfortunate. I will play out the Reejerey. And let's see. The opponent hits a forest, passes back. Still can't cast that Avacyn. Draw Mutavault. Pass back to the opponent. Finally draws another white source. So basically going to all but tap out to play Avacyn. And I realize that I'm in trouble now because she's in the air and I can't really do much about that. So, stuff is indestructible. Opponent gives me an LOL. Avacyn is not, well, she is a creature, so Negate can't do anything. I draw another Negate. Just kind of comical draws at this point. So frustrating with Reejerey on the board and Harbinger in hand that I can't deal with this because he has 2 Platinum Empyreans. Opponent draws a Plains. Gonna swing with his dudes. Actually, rewatching this, it's a little bit silly. I wasn't even thinking about killing his Platinum Empyreans. I was just thinking about bouncing them. But oh my goodness, I could have totally won this game. I mean, Mutavaults are 6/6s by themselves. Activate the 2 Mutavaults. Block each Platinum Empyrean with an Elemental and a Mutavault. No, Mutavaults are 7/7s because they're getting 5 buffs. So 7/7, block with an Elemental and a Mutavault. Elemental and Mutavault, kill 2 Platinum Empyreans. I can bounce Avacyn next turn. Actually, I can tap her at the end of her turn by casting Harbinger with... Wow, this is... Oh, I'm sorry. Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself. I did realize during the game that the Platinum Empyreans had Indestructible from Avacyn. As you guys know, the replays, I use fast forward, and so I tend to gloss over a detail or two that at the much slower paced actual game I definitely noticed and was aware of. I couldn't kill this guy anyway because Avacyn makes them indestructible, so I'm just going to chump with elementals. Happy that I didn't make a gigantic mistake. And at this point, I'm on a one-turn. The opponent has me on a one-turn clock, so I might as well just play out the Harbinger here, tap his Avacyn, and bounce one of the Platinum Empyreans, and just cross my fingers and hope that I draw another Harbinger. I don't, and that's it. So, yeah, definitely poor sideboarding on my part, but I had no idea what the opponent was playing. Really funny sort of stalemate situation in that game. Snap keep for me, I have creatures and 2 ways to bounce Platinum Empyreans, 3 lands just to play things. A little scary that they're all islands. Playing against a green deck post board, he could easily bring in Choke. The opponent, I think, is going to keep with Madcap Experiment and Nahiri and 4 lands. Looks pretty good on both sides. Open with Island into Cursecatcher, try to slow down that combo action with Madcap Experiment. I don't think the opponent really plays shock lands. Attack with Cursecatcher, take the opponent down to 18. Play an island, play a Lord of Atlantis. At this point, I do want to establish some kind of reasonable clock. 1 point of damage per turn is not really reasonable, but 4 points is pretty good. I might hold back on casting the Reejerey next turn, only because I've got interaction in hand and don't want to play into anything with my mana all tapped down. So, what just happened? The opponent cracked a Windswept Heath on his own turn and got another basic Plains. I drew an AEther Vial, and with all these interactive spells, I think I'm just going to play the AEther Vial, leave up 2 mana, and just keep attacking for 4. Okay, opponent's already down to 13, and play the AEther Vial and pass. So plays a mountain, and he's coming at me with Blood Moon, which I actually laughed at. Just because I have 3 islands, I've been afraid of Choke, and instead he plays Blood Moon. So, don't know why this card is still in the deck. I guess he saw a lot of non-basics last turn, because I was playing around Choke. Okay, tick AEther Vial up to 1, and draw a second Reejerey. I think I'm still just going to push this 4 power and leave my spells up to deal with whatever he plays, either with Vapor Snag or Echoing Truth, and try to just keep my clock on the board. Swing for 4, opponent goes down to 9. If he plays Reejerey, if he plays Nahiri and ticks her up, well, there's a Utopia Sprawl. I think he named red and put it on the forest, because it can only go on a forest. Just past the turn, so weird. He chose to play Utopia Sprawl when he could have played Nahiri. I guess he's leaving up Lightning Helix. Yeah, alright, let's see how it goes. I draw into a Spreading Seas, which is just comical because I can immediately take him off of that Utopia Sprawl. And I draw another Spreading Seas. And I just inform the opponent that the Spreading Seas falls off. He calls me a cheeky little bastard. Swing for 4, he goes from 9 down to 5. Actually, it's a little weird. Like, he left up mana to cast Lightning Helix and doesn't cast Lightning Helix. I think this guy's just a pretty poor opponent. I should just say inexperienced. I don't want, it's mean to say poor. Seems like he's very, very new to the format and certainly to the deck. I asked him if this is a brew of his or a list that people have been working on. He told me it's he just kind of built it and it works, so he hasn't changed it. Draws a Bolt. Probably feels silly not casting that Lightning Helix. He's finally going to go for Nahiri here. Oh, I'm sorry. He's going for Madcap Experiment. I guess he didn't really feel pressure because he thought that... Did he just draw the Madcap Experiment? I wasn't paying attention to his draw step. Totally possible that he might have just top decked that. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Almost just like last time. So here's the Platinum Empyrean. I have Vapor Snag to take him down to 4, and I've got 4 power on the board. Also, of course, I can play 2 Reejereys next turn and swing for 8 instead, but bounce the Empyrean, and yeah, that's it. Just kind of a sneak peek, I guess, of Madcap Experiment in Modern. I maintain that the interaction with Platinum Empyrean, even though once you know about it, it's pretty easy to disrupt if you have bounce spells, is super sweet. I mean, the fact that it prevents the life loss from Madcap Experiment is just super sweet. That's the only way to put it. He's got a lot of other good spells, Nahiri, Lightning Helix, but then we see half the time he ends up with Emrakul in hand, and this particular opponent played Blood Moon against Merfolk, and as we've seen before on my channel, Blood Moon is a joke against Merfolk, and yeah, he just forgot to cast Lightning Helix, so it wasn't really the most competitive match ever, but hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know if you've seen any Madcap Experiment decks yet. I know one of my friends is trying to brew with it. Again, I had no idea what the brewing potentials were. I just assumed maybe that gigantic Infect guy, Blightsteel Colossus, I think is the name. That seems like a pretty good one to get with Madcap Experiment because it can kill the opponent in like one turn. But Platinum Empyrean actually seems a little better than that, so interested to hear your guys' experience, and actually I think I might do a little more research and see what people are cooking up with this spell. So that's it. As always, thanks for watching. Please leave any comments you might have, and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll catch you guys next time. See you later.